Hello there everybody, welcome back to another Lost Ark adjacent video. It's been a while since I've recorded anything Lost Ark, or really even looked at anything Lost Ark. The Lost Ark detox is going well for me, but I hope you guys are still having a good time, and we're still here seeing what's on the subreddit, because I do love me some good drama. I do love me some good old memes, hee-hees and ha-has. And I mean, I really don't know what's been going on. I mean, you can see I've vaguely looked just this morning here, because I wanted to see what was going on, but, I mean, I clicked on this thread the other day, I clicked on this thread the other day, this thread. So, I mean, I read it briefly, but not super heavily, so let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, I remember this post. Lost a negative emotion lately on the subreddit due to exploits, so I decided to make lovely echidna, and it's just titties. It's just titties. That's the whole picture, it's titties. Let's see here. Let's take the top threads that aren't memes, really. That's usually what we do. Let's do these. Let's start with these and see how that goes for us. Okay, so our first post of the day. I was going to say week, but it's not technically the start of the week. The first post of the video, the evening, the afternoon, the morning, wherever it may be for you. Grab a drink and pull up a fucking chair, boyo. Let's get the obvious out of the way first. I guess the title. I remember how to do this, don't worry. Been roughly a month since Tier 4 dropped. I have some thoughts. Let's get this out of the way first. MSQ not working for a couple days after the patch, exploits galore, and so forth suck, but those are technical execution problems rather than game design decisions, so I'll not bother delving into those. I think that's fair. Things I enjoyed with Tier 4 so far. Hyper Awakening unreleased. It's a bit of a no-brainer, but releasing Hyper Awakening with Tier 4 was a good decision. Players could immediately experience some freshness in how their class worked. Fully agree. Curzon Front is a chef's kiss. Aside from the shard bug in the first week, I have nothing but praise for how good of a change this was. It is everything that players have asked for when it comes to revamping Chaos Dungeons once a day, no multi-stage bullshit that disrupts the flow, and no godforsaken hit count based crystal to break to spawn mobs. Yeah, Curzon Front's good. Arc passive is nice. I'm enjoying having the wiggle room to experiment with different stat distributions in certain classes without having to actually reinvest in different accessories. A full-on class engraving swap on the fly is still held back by the gems, but it's definitely way closer than it was before. The addition of accessory refining has also brought a much-needed steady and flexible source of income for players who have, which is a vast improvement from the previous systems where valuable accessories are exceedingly rare. You can just sell your shards, you can sell good accessory rolls, either way you're always getting at least some value out of accessories you drop. I do agree on that second part with accessory drops, but I will say I think this will fall off pretty hard in the coming weeks, especially when Brelshaza eventually comes out and more source of ancient accessories come out. Obviously, as more people get there, the less value shards and accessories both will have. And that's not to say that these might not overall hold their value more than prior accessories, but I think the feeling of accessories being valuable will very quickly go away in the sense that I think you're experiencing them. But overall, yes, I do agree. As far as how nice Arc Passive is myself, I don't know. I don't currently use Arc Passive, even though I am 1680 with 3 pieces. I'm not max level, I don't have enlightenment points. I'll probably swap after the next clear of Aegir and I get my 4th piece. But as somebody who isn't super pressed to get into Arc Passive, I don't know. And I think this is a very big problem with Arc Passive, which I think you touch on right over here. So I'll wait before I talk about Arc Passive too much then, but yes. Aegir is a fantastic homework raid. Team wipe mechanics happen early in the fight, and the fight mechanics are simple to execute. It's only 2 gates, and none of the bosses are particularly annoying. I mean, I think, like I said in my first clear, the hard mode that I did the first week, having it be a 20-minute gate is a bit excessive for me personally, and I think designing gates to be long until you overgear them just for the next long excessive gates to come out in the next raid is something I personally don't like. But I do agree with you saying that Aegir is better than the prior raids, like Echidna. Echidna, Theamine both had a lot of, how you say, unfun mechanics where it will just instantly kill you. Aegir, generally, you fuck up, you can recover. It's overall much nicer in that regard, so I agree. I do think it is a much better, fantastic Much better, fantastic. A much better homework raid than the prior raids before it. Ignite servers were fire. Honestly, aside from giving new players Light of Salvation, Lost Wind Cliff, Ignite servers were everything the Doctor ordered, quickly speeding players to a somewhat relevant item level without needing to rely on dailies and other cumbersome chores in the early stages. They were also relevant for veterans, so it felt like an event that everyone could get behind. I hope these make a return in the future to improve even further from their current iteration. I think Ignite, like I said, I think Ignite servers by themselves don't quite hit the mark. They get close, but there's a lot of things, like you mentioned, Light of Salvation, Lost Wind Cliff. I think there's a lot of other progression systems, though, in the game that you can't really get any other way other than putting time into the game, and that amount of time is significant, to the point where they are large, significant factors into getting into groups from people that have been playing the game since launch, and there's not really a realistic time frame that you can take in order to get yourself to that point. Stuff like card book, demon damage, roster level, stuff like that, skill points. You know, these things take time, and getting the Una's rep, all that shit, this for all of the different things that you're missing, the stat potions, it definitely takes a lot of time. But like I said, Ignite servers are good. It just doesn't quite get all the way there. I do hope that they make it less good for veterans and more focused on newer players and newer players' needs and more onboarding of them. I think that's what they really need to do. But shit, I don't know what I'm talking about, man. I just read the Reddit sometimes. Things I'm neutral on tier 4 about so far. Makoko Bootcamp event is great in concept. It's a bit of a mess in execution. I'm not going to fully read this, but yes, I agree completely with this assessment. The bootcamp event this is sort of what I mean when I say with Ignite servers that the Ignite servers are good, but they don't quite get there. The bootcamp event is the exact same thing. The biggest failure of the bootcamp event is the criteria in order to what classifies a Makoko, right? It should just be raid clears or item level on account. You have the item level maximum set already at 1660. Why do we need all these other weird quantifiers? I mean, it's either make it so if you have cleared the raid less than 10 times, you're a Makoko for that raid. Otherwise, just make it a flat item level thing. Don't make it this weird login, log out thing. If you logged in X amount of days beforehand, you're a veteran technically, even though that's just not the case for a lot of these people, especially the people who came back for Ignite server. If you make a brand new account, you're fine, but if you're an old player using an old account that you came back for the Ignite servers, you're not a Makoko. It's just a mess. The fortress is boredom. Yes, the fortress is very boring. This is the fortress to get your tier 4 gear. I do agree it's miserable. It was not fun. But it is what it is. Transition to Arc passive system varies greatly from class to class. Arc passive is great, but it feels terrible to see some classes be able to take advantage of it with a single Aegir armor piece versus others requiring 3 or more, delaying that transition by weeks. I hope that some of this can be alleviated over time with shuffling around at some of the evolution nodes between different tiers to make things a bit more even. So I do agree. I think Arc passive is this big sort of keystone for the tier 4 update, and I think it's a huge mistake not to immediately transition people into it. Because I think the passive system itself, Arc passive as a whole, is much better. I just think the onboarding to get to use it is weirdly prohibitive and weirdly long. I'm aware in my case specifically, I'm able to use it, and a lot of classes are able to use it at like 1660, even if they do lose a little bit of their effective tier 3 damage and their tier 3 setup. I'm aware that you can technically make it work, but I'm advocating for it just being an upgrade, you know what I mean? Like, immediately, you should transition into it. Like, your tier 3 setup should be stronger for a little bit. Say, like, level 65, you get 1 Aegir piece, you should be able to transition into it and it be better. That's my opinion. Again, my opinion doesn't speak for everyone, but I think that would be better than what we currently have. And then things I did not enjoy about tier 4 so far. Reaching 1660 on a fresh 1640 with no advanced honing is rough. Cost per tap, mainly in shards, is pretty wild, and tier 4 advanced honing is not a viable alternative for this item level bracket. Yeah. This has resulted in a pronounced support shortage even in Aegir hard mode or normal mode as players struggle to hit that item level on their ults. Yeah, it's like I said to my friends, a couple of my friends and people in the Discord server. Discord is in the description if you want to join. Easier way to talk to me, hang out with other people. Who knows? I know I don't do too much with my Discord, but I figure I plug it. But like I was talking with some people there, I do think if you were able to play, like if you were somebody who played when Tier 3 was the thing, and you were able to utilize advanced honing, getting to 1680 is honestly quite easy. But if you did not do the advanced honing before then, it is going to be very, very hard and arduous and much more expensive, I mean, obviously, to get to that point going into Tier 4. It's something like plus 16 gear, I think, is the breakpoint before 1 to 10 advanced honing becomes worth it. And then I don't know what the plus 20 is. But my point is, for a Tier 3 raid and a Tier 3 system, this is weird to me. You can make the argument that, oh, Echidna is Tier 4 now. And it's like, yeah, I guess. But it doesn't stop the fact that people were doing it in Tier 3 and it was a Tier 3 raid until it retroactively got changed. So it's, for all intents and purposes, a Tier 3 system. In my eyes, at least. And it's just weird. You know, isn't it just a little bit weird? I don't know. I do think they really need to look at advanced honing specifically. I mean, they need to look at all of the old carryover systems, kind of like this guy's saying. Carryover systems for Tier 3 feel like roadblocks, Transcendence, elixirs, all of this shit. I agree. 100%. Completely agree. It's something they really need to look at, seriously. All of these Tier 3 systems, all of these Tier 3 progression systems that you need to do, really do need to be looked at. Yeah, and I agree. I overall do think this post is quite good. So shout out to XX Meme Lord 420. You're a fucking post banger. And then we get the immediate counteract of this, which is, I think I'm done. Been fun, boys, but I think it's time. 6,600 hours, surely some of it AFK. Anyone curious, he lists out his characters. Not 100% the exact thing that led me to quitting, but a few of my annoyances lately in no particular order. Nothing has been going his way. Trying to hone your support ult. Hit pity on at least 4 pieces, 1657 for 1640. Finding a group to Aegir has been annoying. I hate being in Party Finder searching for groups so long every week, even though your main has 3 DPS. Even though your main 3 DPS are pretty stacked. Thinking about Rel coming, Aegir will probably still have support struggles. No, thank you. Swap the Arc passive into my main is kind of meh. I like it slightly less than before. Knight's Edge Soul Eater, it's okay, but it just feels like the bosses are going to double down on big burst windows, so Full Moon Harvester is currently better, or clearly better, but I don't enjoy the playstyle nearly as much. DPS meter, without DPS meter, I enjoy the game less. The time with it down was not great, and the thought of each patch having to struggle to get it back up running, maybe not having it in the future, is a future I don't want. Real life, I need to get back into shape. I let myself go somewhat the couple last years. I've let my yard landscaping get out of hand. I've not spent enough time with my boys, 7 and 8. And the last straw is finishing up my ancient accessory, sending over refined accessories for the last shards I needed. I dismantled them, realized I dismantled my ancient piece as well, rip bozo. It just got me to thinking about all the grind that's left for my main, and who knows for the alts. The Tier 4, more than I think about it, was the complete opposite of what the game needed. Instead of being accessible to more players that doubled down on the grind or wailing, 1660 causing so much from 1640 was the wrong move, unless they wanted a support shortage. There's other things, but for the most part, I've greatly enjoyed my time in the raids and combat of this game as a 100% plug player. I was mostly free to play, probably spent about $100 pre Tier 4, and ironically spent about $350 post Tier 4, including 100 2 days ago trying to get my support to 1660. Wish everyone the best. I mean, I think a lot of people, whether they'll admit it or not, kind of follow this sentiment and fall off in video games, or just anything in life, any hobby you have. Eventually, you might fall out of love with a specific thing, or a specific activity, a specific game, whatever it might be. And everybody has their own reasons. For video games, it's quite obvious. Usually it's the direction of the game, or certain systems in the game, or certain gameplay loops in the game that drive people away. And I definitely do think the gap between the people who sweaty grind and spend, and way down below the free-to-players. Like, there's 3 different groups, right? The free-to-players, which are way at the bottom. Like, the pure free-to-players, casuals, whatever. Then you have the mostly free-to-play, also invest a shitload of time into this game, sweaty grinders. Maybe you bust a little bit. Maybe you play another account a little bit, another roster, whatever it may be. And then you have the swipers. All 3 of these groups are massively separated. Even the sweaty grinders and the whales at this point are massively separated, whereas before it wasn't so bad. Though I do think a lot of that has to do with there just being no content in the game, right? The honing point was a certain point for so long. Obviously, it allows other people to catch up when there's a path where you cannot advance past, right? But I do think there is a large gap. The gap is larger than it was previously. But yeah, I think the real life portion is pretty important. I think letting any one thing consume your life is bad. And I mean, I'm definitely guilty of this just as much as anyone else. But I think we can all fall into the sort of patterns. It's easy to do. But overall, I think it's a good insight. I like reading insight posts from people, like their honest opinion, as long as they're not just being total idiots about it, where it's like, oh, everything's bad, this is bad, fuck this, fuck that. Because it's like, no, man. I personally like seeing why people are feeling the ways that they feel, because I think it gets a better read on, like, how the game is doing from other perspectives aside from my own, you know what I mean? Because my perspective is not the end-all be-all. No one person's perspective is, right? And it's important to see sort of what the general consensus is amongst our peers to really understand the landscape. I'm sorry, AGS Smilegate, but this is not fun. I figured it was going to be a picture of a bunch of need supports. And this is for, I assume, normal mode Aegir. Yeah, it's bad. It probably is pretty fun for support players. They don't have to get kept or wait. Well, I think a lot of the support players are playing with friends, which is why this exists. And also, there's not as many of them as you might imagine, clearly. Change Aegir item levels to 1650, 1670. Gate 0 party finder is killing the joy of doing Aegir at this point. The wait time is ridiculous. 1660 and 1680 are far too restrictive and hard to hit if you haven't done advanced honing. There it is again. If you haven't done advanced honing, which again, I completely agree with. It makes no sense that if you clear Echidna, you're supposed to not use the power system from that raid until you get your armor to plus 16. Either nerf the cost of advanced honing with tier 4 materials, change the Aegir item level requirements to 1650, 1670, or both. Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. Like, I can't tell you what the exact solution is, but it definitely has a lot to do with advanced honing, and I think advanced honing is being a real big cock block in that sense. Tier 4 should have been something exciting for players, but it's just been a total shit show, especially with all the technical issues. Everything new, including Arc Passive and the Raid, should have been easily accessible and baseline for both veterans and new players. Instead, it's being used as a carrot on the stick to try to get people to FOMO harder. No matter how many Coomer skins they release, people are just going to start leaving by the droves when they inevitably get burnt out or fed up with their insane progression systems. Yeah, I definitely think this is a sane take. It might not be the take that people like, but I do think this is a valid take. And it kind of echoes the thing that I was saying earlier. Like, Arc Passive should be the big keystone thing of Tier 4, right? And it should not be something that is eased into. It should be, hey, this is the new big system. This is how it works. You get one piece of Aegir gear. Maybe you get some relic accessories. Good to go. You swap into it now. You start easing yourself into it. It should not be what we currently have. And that's my opinion, again, of course, but hey. And then the last thread that I opened for the day is Transcendence should be roster-wide. It doesn't make sense a Tier 3 system takes literal hours to do, and there are no choices to make per character. Yeah, I love doing 5 pieces of armor, 7 levels each, all day. Should be our work as knowledge transfer, where if you complete all levels in one character, you can just pay gold and unlock it on alts. Latest character from Ignite took me 5 or 6 hours to do Transcendence. It's ridiculous. Plus 150k gold, so in the end, the 200k bound gold helped, but still. Transcendence shouldn't exist. Just condense them to 4 levels. I mean, why have them at all at that point? Just condense it to a level per piece. I don't know. just make it better. I don't care how they make it better, just make it better. So it's not like, oh, Transcendence. You know what I mean? It's not relevant at this point in the game's life anymore. The only reason it's relevant is because of the power it provides. It's not relevant in the sense of progressing through it. You know what I mean? It's tedious. It's tedious, monotonous, and it exists only to waste your time and gold. If you want it to continue to waste gold, at least do not make it waste time anymore, man. Make it roster-wide, make it fucking knowledge transfer style like this guy's saying. Do something. And that's the problem that I really have with Smilegate Amazon. You can blame whoever you want, I don't care. Lump them together, they both have a hand in it, in my opinion. They haven't done anything to make these things better, and they continue to not do things. It's just not a good direction for the game. It's stuff like this that burnt me out of it. Anyways, I've been yapping for almost fucking 22 minutes, so I guess I'll stop it here. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you like it, of course. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff from me. I apologize, not too much Lost Ark stuff coming out from me at this point, but there's not too much to be excited for about Lost Ark, so I still try to log in and do my dailies on my Soul Fist. I do my weekly Aegir. That's about it for me currently. Hopefully in the future the game will do some good things, but I'm not holding my breath. Thank you so much for watching. Consider becoming a YouTube member. Thank you to my YouTube members. Remix My Life, I'm Nufu. It's Biscuits Inner Diz. I love you guys all so very much. That's it. Bye!